Hi, can you use more rod and reel storage? Well, follow me today as I go out to the shop and build a very inexpensive yet very functional rod and reel storage rack that either can go on the ceiling or on your wall. If you guys and gals are anything like me, you've got quite a few fishing rods and reels for the different types of fishing that you do. And it's kind of handy to have them in a place where you can just look at them and say, okay, I need this reel, this rod and reel, this rod and reel, so forth and so on for this particular fishing trip that I'm going on. My grandson Aiden and granddaughter Ava are starting to get interested in fishing, and I want to make this fishing rod and reel holder for them so that they can keep their stuff organized and, probably more importantly, out of their mom and dad's hair. So what I've got is just some 3/4 inch scrap plywood that I've got left over from another project, which is plenty heavy duty enough for this. I mean, you can make it out of anything, 1x4 pine, anything, it doesn't matter. It just so happens that I've got this, it happens to be 3/4 inch oak, and I'm going to cut everything to a 4-inch width to begin with. So, safety glasses on, ear protection on, push stick ready. I'm going to start cutting. Now that I have ran these 3/4 inch pieces through the table saw to a 4-inch width, I'm going to use a tape measure and figure out my layout for the spacing to drill holes for the rod butt and the rod tip. The tools that you're going to need for this project is a tape measure, pencil, I use a speed square, also some form of either a screwdriver. I'm going to use a regular drill driver. And then when it comes to boring the holes for the rod butts and rod tips, I'm going to use my drill press over there and a hole saw. If you don't have a drill press and you have a drill, and a spade bit or a hole saw will fit into that too, you can use that to drill your holes. So what I'm going to do is do my layout spacing first, and that's going to determine the length of this rod holder. Now, bear in mind that my grandson and granddaughter, they've only got a couple rod and reels right now, so it doesn't need to be really big. I'm gonna make it as big as this material will allow, so that they'll be able to store the rods and reels, the ones that they're going to acquire in the future. Because I'm sure Grandpa's going to buy them more rods and reels as time goes on. You just do that. So I'm going to get started on doing the layout. To speed this up and not bore you folks, no pun intended, I already did the layout. And what I've done in the past with the other ones that I make is I start 1.5 inches from the end and I make my first mark, and then 3 inches from that first mark right on down. I've got my 4 pieces all lined up, and one quick cut with the chop saw, and we'll be ready to proceed to the next step. Back from the chop saw, and what I'm going to need is just 2 pieces. 2 are going to be what mounts it to the wall or ceiling, And the other two are the two pieces that I need to have bored. A tool that I forgot to tell you that you're going to need is some kind of a clamp. Because when I get ready to bore this through the with the drill press, I want to have this secured so that it doesn't move and every hole is drilled exactly the same as the opposing hole. Make sense? Okay, going over to the drill press. I'm over here at the drill press getting ready to drill the holes into the 3/4 inch plywood. And I told you that you could use a hole saw or a spade bit, and you can, but I prefer to use these bits. And the reason for that, this is a hole saw. And when you drill a piece of wood with a hole saw, you're going to get that piece of wood that you're cutting the hole is going to get clogged into this hole saw. And then after every time that you drill a hole, you've got to stop and clean that out. So it's time consuming. You can do it. These are just a whole lot faster. So these are called a Forstner bit. And they come in a lot of different sizes. So I'm going to start drilling the holes for this, and the next step will be putting it together. Safety first. Okay, I've got all these holes bored, and what you need to do next is a relief cut. I'm going to call it a relief cut. I don't know what else to call it, but you need to make a cut from the edge of this board back to the hole, and that needs to be at every other spacing. And the reason for that is one end that does not have that relief cut is where you're going to slide the butt end of the pole in, and the other end where the relief cut is made is where you'll slide in and it will drop down into the opposing hole. And I mismatched these, so the one side is going to have a relief cut, the other side of this board is going to have it, and then back and forth in a zigzag fashion. And that way, when they're stored, the reel isn't hitting another reel. And that's just the way that I do it. Maybe something else would work for you. So I'm going to go ahead and do this layout and then cut it out, this relief cut. All set up to cut these relief cuts. Got the throat of the bandsaw spaced enough that we can get through there, and yet it still supports it. So we're going to start cutting. Remember back at the beginning when I told you the tools that you're going to need? Well, add to that list, you're going to need some glue and some kind of fasteners. I'm going to use screws because you're going to want to screw or nail the part that fastens to the wall or ceiling to the actual part that holds your rods and reels in place. So I'm going to start gluing and screwing. So what we need to do is put some glue on. Doesn't have to be a lot, just enough to kind of set it up. And then put some screws in. This can be kind of tricky when you're by yourself. You can use a clamp to get started. Handy little tool that I got. It's not a driver drill like this one is. It's more of an impact, and I use this for building pole barns. It's just handy to drive screws in. As you can hear that little rat-a-tat-tat-tat-tat. You get right down to the last little bit, and it just pulls the board right in tight. Like if you're putting on a purlin or a carrier on a pole barn. Some of you may not know what that is, some of you may. So handy little tool. Actually, it came with a two-part combo. Got both of them. Okay, the project is completed. We have a left and a right, and actually upside down. You can see the relief cut versus the other side, which has no relief cut. So now it's just a matter of screwing them on the wall or on the ceiling, however you you want to do it. Very simple, very easy, minimum amount of tools, and scrap lumber. It doesn't get any better than free, other than your time. And days like today where it's nasty out, I don't have anything else to do anyway. I hope you enjoyed watching it, folks, and I hope that you can make one for yourself and or somebody that you know that fishes. They're very handy, very inexpensive, and they will protect your rod and reels from getting broke sitting in a corner. Until the next time, thank you for watching.